Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would sit down and do another video for you guys and gals. Let me give you guys a bicep shot first. Oh, Mount Bicephus. We're going to get that one. Got the tricep veins going. Starting to get leaner, slowly coming along. All right, speaking of getting leaner, let's talk a little bit about low carb diets. So this is a nuanced topic because people will say, Jason, why do you give conflicting information on that? And I want to be clear, it's not conflicting information, it's nuanced information. When I say that people can do lower carb diets to look leaner, I don't mean that they're going to lose body fat. I want to be extremely clear there. There is nothing magical about reducing carbohydrates and reducing body fat or getting a leaner gains. If anything, if you're trying to maximize every last drop of lean gains or recomposition, it actually makes more sense to remove fats from your diet, particularly saturated fats, particularly things maybe like animal source, monounsaturated fats, and to focus on very low fat diets and keep the carbohydrates a bit higher. Okay, I mean, if we're going to discuss the body composition side, can we get the most absolute every last drop of muscle tissue? Can we do so while minimizing fat gain? Right? That would actually be preferable if we were chasing optimal. Now, can that still be achieved with a lower carb approach? Absolutely. But that is if we're trying to really min-max things, use a gaming term here, right? Right? You're trying to meta game, that may be the way to go. However, what we need to be aware of, if you're trying to look really lean, bringing carbohydrates down absolutely helps. It helps drop water underneath your skin. So something worth mentioning there, if you're trying to look leaner than you really are. Now, we could make the case for people when they get shredded enough. I'm talking contest lean bodybuilders. It may not matter. In other words, there's a certain point where they might chase muscle fullness, so they want to be carved up. Okay, they're chasing maximizing glycogen stores or whatever if they're shredded in terms of body fat. But they're also going to be prone to not really holding water under the skin if they simply get all the fat. If you get all the fat out from under your skin, you're going to look shredded. So we want to be clear there. But when we're talking about people who are in that inner term, that intermediate area to where they're not that ripped technically on a tissue level, dropping carbohydrates down can make you look a lot leaner. But I want to be clear, you're not losing body fat. But that is one of the reasons there is this big myth perpetuated when people are like, I get really lean when I cut carbs. You're not really getting lean, you're dropping water. Okay, and we need to drop the pseudoscience side because this has not been confirmed in the lab. You know, people say, well, yeah, so when you cut carbs, you're losing water, but it's all intermuscular water due to glycogen stores. That's not actually what's been found to happen in the lab. So we need to be clear. People bring that up. They're like every gram of muscle glycogen attracts 4 grams of water. So if every drop of carbohydrate you drop out of the muscles, dropping 5 grams of water. So, you know, you're dropping intermuscular water. But is that really what happens? Studies on athletes who follow low carb diets for a while who are fat adapted, they find that their glycogen storage isn't different from people on higher carbohydrates. Okay? I'm sorry, that is what multiple studies have confirmed. So they're not dropping glycogen per se to that same degree that's being demonstrated there. People say, well, then why do you lose a lot of the water weight? Because of shifts in aldosterone. When carbohydrates get really low, our body excretes electrolytes faster. Okay. Now the potassium is not necessarily good. You don't always lose potassium because that is going to be, a lot of your insular cellular water, right? Particularly inside your muscles. But the sodium itself, when your body starts excreting sodium faster, what happens? We lose water under the skin easier. That's one of the things. So that's one of the reasons, like when I've done water cuts and I put up the pictures of me right before I go get on the scale, people are like, oh my God, you're shredded. You went from being a soft, fluffy power lifter to you're ripped all of a sudden, like a week later. Yeah, because I dropped water. And because I'm doing a full water cut at that point, my body's excreting all of that water, and that does suck it out from under the skin. And the same thing happens to a lesser degree when you cut carbohydrate out. It shifts in some of your hormones like aldosterone levels. Okay, and particularly for enhanced lifters, that's a really big deal. That's a really big deal because holding lots of water weight is one of the side effects of a lot of various illicit supplements, we'll call them that. Okay, I mean, this was being written about decades ago, even in like Muscular Development magazine, which was the only magazine back in the day when I was over there that was open about that stuff. They were saying the same thing. Like, look, if you're trying to use tons and tons of tests and you're too bloated, just cut your carbs out and replace them with healthy fats, you'll drop all that bloat. Like they were writing about it. It was like John Romano, as that was his name. He was writing about that. Like this was known back then. That was why the anabolic diet was really popular in the enhanced bodybuilder circles. Right? But it's one of the reasons because they drop water weight. They look leaner. So we need to be clear though, but it does happen for naturals also. But it has to do with shifts in fluid balance due to sodium and electrolyte excretion. Okay? Because that is a big part of those diets. So yes, when carbohydrates are lower, you start looking leaner. But it's not because you're losing body fat. It can be a tool for dropping water weight. Now, taken too far though, you see we're about to go, you will get flatter muscles. So that is the other end of the scale. So for someone who's really ridiculously lean, like they really are 5 or 6% body fat, which is not sustainable, they're going to run into a problem where they just start looking really flat and smaller potentially, for bodybuilding purposes, like on a stage or a photo shoot. So that is the other end of that extreme. But for people who just want to look leaner year round, it's a viable approach, right? So there's a reason so many models and fitness influencers and physique types swear by lower carbohydrate diets. They're like, it helps me get shredded because, it's helping them drop water. They're holding less water weight, therefore they look leaner. Okay, but we do need to understand that it is a fluid balance difference. It is not causing more fat loss. Okay, because you're still dealing with calories in, calories out. You're still dealing with all of those things in there. And again, if anything, we could technically make the case for lower fat, higher carbohydrate, or particularly really high protein diets are your best key to maximizing body composition. And we could also make the case though for someone trying to do that on a lower carb approach with more fats. This is just protein overfeed, and you'll probably get a potentially similar effect. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.